Welcome back to the final afternoon of racing here at the 2023 BNL Karting Series season here at Karting d'Espagne. And we get underway with the first of multiple races, 9 in total. Here is your starting grid for the Senior Rotax B final. We're going to have, due to have 27 drivers set to compete, but Gwenda La Goma and Kaz Boshouse will be on the front row. Enzo van den Dickenberg will be on the inside of row 2. Alongside will be Paul Simard from the United Kingdom. Frederik Zebbes Christensen and Sim van Vliet, row 3. Steen Scholten and Gussie van Gogh, row 4. Rafael Jesus and Lotus Tween, row 5. Mads Larsen, Spencer Brom, Scott Westhovens, Puck Gubbles, Robbie Stodder, Jake Bezelbeck, Bram Osserwaarde, William Christensen, Rune de Broeke, Adam Walster, James Swindells, Jonas Lelu and Anton Morsing will be the 23 drivers competing in this. Non-starters from Kamal Murad, Mitch Haynett, Alexander Vermeulen and William Helgstrand. So the drivers will be heading into battle over the course of 13 minutes, plus an additional lap around this particular circuit, which runs in a clockwise direction. Pole position will be on the right-hand side. And for those watching at home, thank you very much for joining us over the course of yesterday and today here at Karting d'Espagne. Thank you, as always, to Thierry Lepine for his association with the BNL Karting Series. And it's always wonderful to visit this part of Belgium. Drivers will now make their way in towards the chicane. 13 minutes on the timer, red lights on the gantry, a few stragglers at the back as the revs start to rise. Are we ready? Are we steady? The Senior Rotax B final is underway. And a good start by Kaz Boshouse, who goes sidewall to sidewall with Goma going into turn number one, now through turn 2. It's getting a bit hairy, 3 wide at one point. Towards the bottom part of the top 10, it's nearly 4 wide going through turn 3. As they go into turn 4, the 90-degree left-hander, which brings them into the right-hand sweeper here at turn 5. Line astern they are, all the way down the field apart from the back end. But Gwenda La Goma is leading the way. Kaz Boshouse is in second. There might be a little bit of a change in the cards, or on the cards, so to speak, as they still are line astern. Oh, Jake Bezelbeck just loses a position. Could have been to William Christensen as they make their way through, out of the right-hander, through the chicane, and lap 1 is in the books. Goma lead. Well, it's Goma that leads. Van Dickenberg up to second. A 10th and a half behind the youngster on the Sodi Kart chassis. Kaz Boshouse, Steen Scholten, Paul Simard, Frederik Zebbes Christensen rounds out the top 6 as it's going to be a change for the lead. Dickenberg gets through. Boshouse looking to get through on Goma, through into turn 4 and makes it through before the apex. Scholten also gets through. Someone runs a little bit wide coming out of turn 4. As a bit of a late lunge there. That was Simard, I think, going through on more than likely Goma, who's dropped down the order quite considerably. Few drivers trying to make their way through the field. It has been a tall order with 63 Senior Rotax drivers here this weekend. Another change is going to happen. That's at the bottom part of the top 10. One driver's going to miss out a couple of positions. Robbie Stodder getting through. That's Scott Westhovens, who's lost out to Sim van Vliet and Robbie Stodder. Jake Bezelbeck is right at the back end of the field, behind the likes of Jonas Lelu and Bram Osserwaarde. Still 10 minutes and 45 seconds plus an additional lap remains in this race. And Dickenberg still leads, but it's going to be hotly contested. As there's a little bit of a touch. Simard, I think, went into the back of Scholten. And then all of a sudden, it has changed everything. Zebbes Christensen now up a position. Kaz Boshouse has dropped down to 4th place as a result of that slight contretemps going through into turn number 6. But Enzo van den Dickenberg has got a lead, and it is starting to increase. More than likely going to be slightly north of half a second. Well, it's just over 3/10. Mads Larsson battling away with Stein Scholten in the number 336. That is for 5th position on the road. Rounding out the top 10. It's Rafael Jesus, as now there's going to be a change. Larsson up the inside of Scholten, who gets the cut back. And Jesus, is he going to get through? Yes, he does. Before the apex of turn number 4. The 337 from the United Arab Emirates gets through. And Larsson again back on the counter-offensive. Through on Rafael Jesus. And that is a change again. Back to 6th position goes the Dane in the 907. Gomain, who started on pole position, now all the way down at the tail end of the top 10. But the top 4 were covered by just over 8/10. And now change for the lead. Paul Simard through on Enzo Dickenberg for the race lead. The 901 for Dan Holland Racing. And there goes Fredrik Sebis Christensen. Here comes Kaz Boshouse and Dickenberg. Oh, dearie me. That is on the final stretch. That's Gussie van Gorp. Her weekend comes to an abrupt end here in the B final. She is out, walking away, unassisted, out of the kart. That's a real shame. And the left-hand side wedged underneath the barriers, so there will be yellow flags. And it's changing all the time because there has been a significant shift. Enzo van den Dickenberg gets attacked from behind, courtesy of Rafael Jesus in the 337. But the top 2, Paul Simard and Fredrik Sebis Christensen, are leading the way. Kaz Boshouse in 3rd. 4th, it's Stein Scholten. 5th, it's Mads Larsson. Here comes Sebis Christensen up the inside of Simard through into turn number 1. There were 13 thousandths apart going across the stripe to complete lap number 5. So now that Kaz Boshouse has a bit of clean air, the 363 can start charging after the 2 in front. Lotus Sveen, she's currently in 11th position, has just put in the fastest lap of the race, 56.008. Oh, mistake there from Simard. Mistake there from Simard, and then all of a sudden, that allows the opportunity for Kaz Boshouse to get up into 2nd place. Mads Larsson now in 4th. There's a bit of side-by-side action. Oh, my goodness me. Behind Rafael Jesus, it looks like Sian van Vliet was alongside Scott Westhovens, I believe, as they went through the chicane. 7 minutes still to go, plus an additional lap. The scrap for 2nd position is heating up. Fredrik Sebis Christensen, who I have seen, well, we've normally seen in the top 36 come the end of a race weekend, is leading the B final by a country mile, 1.4 seconds. Jesus battling away. That's with Robbie Stodder in the 379. There's the 365 of Sian van Vliet being overtaken by Lotus Tveen in the 330 from RS competition. Still 6.5 minutes to go. And William Christensen, who's down in 15th position, sets the fastest lap, 55.333. And no one's gotten close to that lap time yet. Well, Fredrik Sebis Christensen was just over half a second away from that marker. More overtakes happening. Dickenberg now coming under fire from Spencer Brown, another driver in a CRG chassis, because there's one in 2nd position. And Valster won't be too far from that battle either. Lotus Tveen locking on the crosshairs with regards to Scott Westhovens, who's just ahead along with Rafael Jesus from the UAE. Still plenty of time for this strategic senior Rotax chess game to present itself over the next 5 minutes and 20 seconds. Kaz Boshouse has just taken over 0.1 of a second out of the race leader. There's still time. If Boshouse gets at least a couple of tenths of a second a lap faster than Zebis Christensen, and that in itself is a tall order, might be able to catch the Dane in the 307 towards the end of the race. But Mosavada's unfortunately dropped down to 22nd position. Been a very different story for the 376. When I spoke to him yesterday evening, when he came up just to have some clarification on the regulations, said, yeah, we think there might have been a slight crack on the chassis. Far cry from his performance at Karting Genk back in April of this year. Another change is happening. That is Stijn Scholten being passed by Robbie Stoddard. Bram Mosavada has decided to park it. So for those Red Actions fans out there, so unfortunately your man is not going to make it to the end of the race. Oh, bit of an indent there on Stijn Scholten's front fairing. But sometimes it can be deceiving that you have a bit of an indent, but that is the front part of the nose cone is actually looking like it's slightly trailing on the asphalt as he goes through the corners. But still keeping pace with those in front, including Mads Larsen, Stijn Scholten, and that is a nice little move. Well done there, Spencer Braun, who's just got through on Gwendal Guma from France. So the Brit now up to 12th place. Boshouse is reeling in a little bit of time. Stijn Scholten goes into battle with Rafael Jesus, who's just passed him. So that's the battle for 6th. And that gap is slowly dwindling away. Kaz Boshouse last time around did a 55.743. Frederik Zebis Christensen a 55.686. And Spencer Braun now finds himself in the top 10 with just under 3 minutes to go on the timer. Who's going to be the winner of the B final and who will join that driver on the podium? Anna Valster battling away with the likes of Rune de Broeke, as now Lotus Tveen is sizing up a move on Stijn Scholten for 7th position. Just behind is William Christensen. So the two Danes from RS competition might have an opportunity of getting ever closer to the top 5. And here comes the move. That's the 311 of Christensen on Lotus Tveen. That's a change now for 8th position. So the gap was just over 1.2 seconds. It still remains over 1.2 seconds between the leaders as Rafael Jesus goes sidewall to sidewall with Mads Larsen through the fast right-hander at turn number 1. And the Emirates-based driver gets through up into 5th position. William Christensen, in the meantime, has got past Stijn Scholten for 7th place. And Robbie Stoddard now in 3rd position ahead of Paul Simard from the United Kingdom. So 21 out of the 23 drivers still running. Gustav van Gorp out on lap number 4 after a moment. Whether it might have been incident related, I'm not sure. So I just saw the tail end of it. And Spencer Braun now has closed in on, is gunning for at least a top 8 finish. But here goes Lotus Tveen on Stijn Scholten, and Braun gets through as well. Scholten demoted down from 8th to 10th in one fast right-hander. And Spencer Braun's got a real ton of momentum behind Lotus Tveen coming out of turn number 3. and is very, very close to getting a top 8 finish, as we're 15 seconds away from our final lap. William Christensen has the fastest lap of the race, 55.216. Currently sitting in 7th position, but the battle for 8th continues onwards. Timer has expired. Last lap board is out. One more lap. Fredrik Sebis Christensen expands his lead. It's Spencer Brorum up the inside of Lotus Tveen to get through, and that is 8th. For the 356 privateer entry on the CRG chassis. Brilliantly done, just timed it to absolute perfection. Did Spencer Brorum. Didn't have a great run at Karting Genk back in April of this year, but he's making amends for it here in Marienburg. Rafael Jesus has got the 311 of William Christensen right on the rear bumper as they go through into the final few corners. But it is going to be a win. It's going to be the top step of the podium for one driver from Denmark. It's going to be Fredrik Sebis Christensen who comes out of the chicane. He wins the B final. Kaz Boshouse and Robbie Storder round out the top 3 after just over 14 minutes of racing. Paul Simard was on the had the opportune window to try and get a podium, ends up 4th ahead of Rafael Jesus, William Christensen, Mads Larsen, Spencer Brorum. What a drive from the Brit on the privateer CRG chassis in the 356, placed in 8th position, ahead of Lotus Tveen and Stein Scholten. James Swindell, Scott Westhovens, Alan Valster, Rune de Broeke, Siem van Vliet, Gwendal Gummer, and then we got Anton Morsing, Enzo van den Dickenberg, Jake Bezelbeck, Puck Gubbles, Jonas Lilou being the last of the 21 classified finishers, with Bram Osterwalder retiring on lap 7, Gustav van Gorp on lap 3, with non-starters from Kamal Manad, Mitch Hainert, Alexander Vermeulen and William Haugstrand.